This is No Face Movements, March 27, 2013. I'm bringing breaking news. Yesterday, North Korea threatened United States of America um, with weapons and nuclear war if we keep on threatening them. And like I said, this is all stage events, folks. All right. The reason North Korea is going ballistic is because we sanction them, and they can't do trades with their surrounding neighbors and to the Western world. And by that, it limits them, so they're gonna start starving. We did an article on them eating their own kids, and they can't trade with us. And you gotta think this Kim Jong-un Jr. is young, and he wants to make himself a name too. All right, folks. But don't forget, this is all stage. All right, we are threatening them. We are putting sanctions on them so they can't do trades. Then we brought in a nuclear ship. We find the picture. Right there, we brought in our nuclear submarine, and I can understand why. But that's more. We're threatening them. U.S. nuclear attack submarine USS Cheney arrives to be anchored at a Navy base of South Korea and basin. Alright, folks. So the basin of nuclear submarines there in South Korea, that's ours to protect South Korea. North Korea's going ballistic, and trust me, they got enough power. They've been doing drills for the past couple days. You can see Kim Jong Un here watching them. And remember, he's young. He's only 27. And he's a leader, a dictator of a whole country. And of course, he wants to be a legend. So he is going to try starting a war with us. Alright? And this might be the ticker of World War III or an independent war. But you got to think who backs North Korea. North Korea is backed by China. North Korea is also backed by Russia, by Iran, Syria, um, by a lot of our enemies, Cuba and stuff like that. Remember, Russia gave Cuba nuclear weapons last year. We broke the news here. And Russia admit that they sat in the Gulf of Mexico watching us with their nuclear submarine. And they told us. Alright, folks, it's kind of scary. Alright, then North Korea is threatening that they're going to launch a missile or have a short-range missile hit Guam or Japan. Alright, folks, these are real threats. And the reason they're threatening us is because we're holding sanctions on them because they keep doing nuclear tests. I can understand I have to do nuclear tests to keep the world safe so nothing would happen. Alright, but we're also putting sanctions on them. It's because of the world elite. The world elite wants to cause World War III. As the economy keeps steadily dropping, they're doing it. They're guiding us through the economy collapse as slowly as possible. In Europe, Greece collapsed first, then Cyprus. The whole time, China and Italy is on the verge of collapsing. Then from that, we're gonna go inland to bigger countries. All right. And same here in the United States of America. Little towns are collapsing, get financial emergency managers. Now Detroit collapsed, and they got federal manager coming in. What they're doing is liquidating us, taking all our resources. And they're doing this around the world. And on top of that, we got threats of World War III. All right, World War III could start off any day from any of our big countries, us or any other countries out there starting a war. I'm afraid that we might do something, or they might do something towards us at stage. Alright, let's get into the article. We're going to put a video together too later on next week about World War III and what's going to happen and how it's going to start. It's going to be very interesting, so stay tuned to that too. Here we go.
North Korea puts rocket units on alert to attack U.S. North Korea has elevated its artillery and strategic missile forces to combat-ready posture and said it is prepared to strike targets in South Korea, Japan, Guam, Hawaii, and the continental U.S.
You see that video? Let me come to the link.
North Korea, Pentagon prepared to respond to any contingency. The announcement, carried by the KCNA state media, was in the name of the Supreme Command, which has attracted attention in South Korea because it is an emergency division of the government that is only operational during time of war.
So they're preparing for a war, folks.
In the announcement, North Korea said it would show off our army and people's stern reaction to safeguard our sovereignty and the highest dignity through military actions.
And you can see them practicing. And that looks like something out of World War II. But they're
It
practicing. They're getting
does.
prepared for war, folks. And remember, he's only 27 years old. He's trying to make a name for himself.
The comments were condemned by the Pentagon in the U.S. as bellicose rhetoric, who added that the U.S. was ready to respond to any contingency.
And that's why we've got our nuclear submarine there.
It come a day after Kim Jong-un was again pictured visiting military units, watching exercises on the East Coast involving troops storming ashore from hovercraft and artillery shelling targets. The media mouthpiece for the regime said North Korea can no longer overlook Washington's nuclear and military threats. The U.S. and South Korea recently conducted military exercises involving a nuclear submarine and B-52 bombers flying out of air bases on Guam.
And also remember, Russian tested us too, and they flew their nuclear bomber over Guam.
The U.S. nuclear war racket has gone beyond the danger line and entered the phase of an actual war, defying the repeated warnings from the Army and people of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the statement said.
And you can see, look at all those missiles that they're firing. That's pretty bad. They're a pretty powerful country over there. I don't believe their missiles could reach us in the United States of America, but they got the capability of launching a satellite. All they have to do is put a satellite with a nuclear missile on it. A lot of countries already got those, including us.
Anything's possible.
Yes, anything.
South Korea was on the receiving end of another bout of threats, which have become more frequent and more vitriolic since the United Nations Security Council voted unanimously to step up sanctions against Pyongyang for carrying out a nuclear test in February. The KCNA report warned that the government in Seoul should be mindful that everything will be reduced to ashes and flames the moment the first attack is unleashed. Despite the threats, North Korea does not have the capability to carry out its latest threat, according to experts. James Hardy, Asia Pacific editor from IHS Jane's Defense Weekly, said, from what we know of its existing inventory, North Korea has short and medium range missiles that could complicate a situation on the Korean peninsula and perhaps reach Japan. But we have not seen any evidence that it has long range missiles that could strike the continental U.S., Guam, or Hawaii.
Remember last year when they did release a non-lethal long-range missile that went past Hawaii, folks? Trust me, they got the capabilities of launching long-range missiles, and they boast about it. You can see pictures of them parading their missiles and all that stuff. You can check it out. You can see it for yourself. Just type in long-range missiles and parades in North Korea. They got the capabilities and the capabilities of producing a nuclear warhead.
Pyongyang's latest threats were issued on the day that South Korea marked the third anniversary of the sinking of the corvette Cheonan in a torpedo attack blamed on the North.
And there's one of their long-range missiles, folks. And he's young. He's desperate. He's trying to make a name for himself.
Apparently. Memorial ceremonies were held across the country for the 46 South Korean sailors killed when the warship exploded and sank in the Yellow Sea. North Korea maintains that it had nothing to do with the incident. Park Geun-hye, the South Korean president, urged Pyongyang to halt its provocations at a speech at the National Cemetery in the city of Daejeon, marking the anniversary. As we mark the third anniversary of the Cheonan, I strongly urge North Korea to change, Park said. North Korea must immediately abandon its thoughts that nuclear weapons will protect its regime, she said. The only way North Korea will survive is if it is voluntarily lays down its nuclear weapons, missiles, provocations, and threats, and transforms into a responsible member of the international community. Kim Kwan-jin, the hardline defense minister, was less conciliatory towards the North, ordering the South Korean military to remain at the highest level of alert and be ready to retaliate in the event of a provocation. Hugo Swire, the Foreign Office Minister, told the Daily Telegraph in Beijing that the regime in Pyongyang remains very unpredictable, and the hope remains that Beijing might be able to intervene to rein in its neighbor. The Chinese are critical in our engagement with North Korea, he said. They share our frustration about the latest violations. They recognize it is destabilizing the region. They are fed up with Pyongyang and will now be as active as they can be to show them this cannot continue.
That's a whole bunch of BS right there. China's just saying that, folks. China's behind North Korea 100%. That's how North Korea gets most of their weapons. And we made a video on that too. Alright, folks. I want everyone out there be prepared. Always keep a watchful eye on the world news. This is a serious threat. They do have the capabilities of making long range missiles, but it probably won't go any farther than Hawaii. But they do launch a satellite with missiles on there. They do have the chance of putting anywhere they want in the world. A satellite that circles the globe. All they gotta do is shoot it from space, and gravity will pull it down. Alright, folks. North Korea, that's all they spend mostly their money on while their people are starving is on their military. So I want everyone out there be prepared. We're going through a lot of changes here in the world with the economy collapsing. They're taking us step by step while the federal government and the world elite government and the world federal government, the federal republic of the world is taking over. Alright? They're causing us to go on the brink of World War III. It's either going to be with North Korea, China, Iran, Syria, Russia, um, Cuba. One of these nations will launch the first missile or it will be staged. Alright, folks. Like they say, who knows? They might not attack that boat that someone else did, but just cause conflicts. Alright, folks. This is the No Face Moon. Please rate, subscribe, comment. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Blogspot, Critterbox, Godlick Production. Follow me on Mystique's channel on astrology and astronomy. And those are my backup channel. Anything happens to this, this is the movement. Move, until next time. Facing off. Peace and be safe.